Welcome to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, where in a single moment you can recognize your brilliance and change your life. This is a transformational hour that covers an array of topics that demonstrate how individuals use their native talents, as shown in their name, to look at the ordinary in extraordinary ways. Albert Einstein once said that everybody's a genius. Why would one of the smartest people on the planet declare that everyone is a genius unless he knew that to be true? I'm your host, Sharon Lynn Wyatt, creator of Namology Science and author of Know the Name, Know the Person. And in each weekly show, you hear the fascinating ways other people have discovered the genius in themselves and what they were able to accomplish. At the end of each show, you'll hear clues on how you can recognize your own innate genius. All over the world, people have many diverse interests. And in that vein, people have asked about different occupations and areas of life that have highly interested them. People want to know how highly successful people have managed to achieve their genius mindset when they use the gifts that are seen in their name when they're utilizing namology science. So how does someone express their creative talents, and how does someone share those gifts with others in such a way that everybody benefits? Our expert tonight is Iain Grae, who has developed his genius in the area of being able to earn huge sums of money and raise his awareness levels at the same time. Now, Iain is a serial entrepreneur who started his first small business in his teens and has continued to build his highly profitable portfolio. His first major success came in his mid-20s when he founded Innovation Ads, Inc., a New York-based advertising agency, which he grew from zero to over 150 employees in just 3 short years. Now, prior to embarking on this entrepreneurial journey, he graduated with a master's in organizational leadership from Mercy College in New York and a bachelor's in marketing from Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton. While still in college, he worked at renowned organizations where he was one of the top sales associates, exceeding targets and setting new benchmarks for achievement. Iain Grae is the founder and creator of Evolved Life, and he spells life L-Y-F-E. It's a purpose-driven leadership activation which raises the collective level of awareness for all who participate. Evolved Life is an exclusive way of being that brings forth the desires of the heart. It is designed to help high achievers, entrepreneurs, and leaders to effortlessly create wealth while making a larger impact on the world. The process is structured to support any individual in turning life into art. Participants become the creators of their own world. Now, Iain Grae excels at assisting others to consciously create what they want in their lives. In Iain's Millionaire Prowess program, he mentors entrepreneurs to gain clarity on what is most important, defining what they wish to achieve, and then how to create a winning mindset and strategy to quickly implement their visions in their life and business. A winning mindset radically minimizes struggle and helps individuals to get into that state of flow. Welcome to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You radio show, Iain.
Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to be part of this program, and I'm really excited actually for everybody that's listening right now. Definitely going to want to stay the whole way through and tell your friends to tune in.
So, Iain, you have this fascinating story of how you became a millionaire at age 25, lost it, and then earned it again. Now, we all want to know how you did this.
Yeah, well, just to be a distinction, I launched Innovation Ads when I was 25, and it was probably maybe a year later when I ended up that millionaire mark, maybe a year and a half or so. And I actually didn't lose it all, but I did lose my mind, and
That's worse.
and had a nice beautiful dip into sleepiness and forgot everything that I knew that brought me success. So it was actually climbing my way out of that depression and that sadness that actually I had the real true awakening to my own power. And that was part of the idea behind launching Evolved Life, was to make sure that everything that I did that allowed me to create heaven on earth for myself, I could share with others. And first it actually started with thinking about when I have children and sharing it with them and my immediate family and making sure that I'm building a legacy that lives beyond me. And then as I started bringing this stuff out to some of my friends and family, I realized that this is something really important to share with the world.
So we're just curious, at age 25. Okay. Having so much money and earning it, what did you do that enabled you to earn that kind of money?
Well, it's definitely a culmination of a number of things. Um, the most important thing I think to get anyone started is having a deep sense of purpose. And by purpose, like normally it would start with just myself. So I can only really speak to my own experiences, and they usually are a pretty good benchmark for what's going on with others. So anybody can self-identify or tell me I'm crazy. It's cool. I'm all for that. Um, and having that purpose initially was really a component of when I was growing up, I was consistently told that we didn't have money for things. And I think it was more of a component of making it easier to say no to me. But I remember being around 8 years old, and I made a pact to myself that I was never going to say no to anything once I was an adult because of money. And I remember actually sharing this at the dinner table with a bunch of family and family friends there, and all the adults laughed and thought I was crazy. So my first purpose actually was just to be able to make sure that money was not going to be an issue for me as I got older. But really, what catapulted the success was when I started thinking about having greater access to financial resources would allow me to help those in my inner circle, my friends and my family, and then starting to think about how I could actually change the world. And once I got into that mode of being, where I'm actually creating value for everybody around me, that's when things really started to take off. So my advertising business started off like in the email marketing world, and back in 2006, it was it was almost the Wild West back in those days. To pretty much do anything, and there was not a whole lot of regulation. Nobody really knew what was going on. And the company quickly morphed as I got new clients and how could I add value to them. And then what ended up happening was most of my clients were businesses, but those businesses were serving customers. And I started working a lot in the online education and offline education and helping find students for colleges. And most people took it as an approach like, how many of these interested parties could I get? And what I think we did that was really unique in our company was we actually investigated how can we help all those people that normally wouldn't have the opportunity to higher education. How can we actually help them to be the first generation that get into to a higher education, a degree program? And once we made that shift, it really started to be very impactful. And this was a way to bring new information to people that never would have had it otherwise. And that purpose alone led to a common vision, a common goal, a true north for every single person in the organization to start creating some real magic.
Well, what I really like about it is that you centered everything on how you could help others. And then a byproduct actually was how you guys got to help yourselves. And I always think that's the perfect kind of a business to do, is aiming it on helping the ones around you first.
Yeah. Well, I think there's also some distinctions there. Like when I was in a place where I didn't have the money, before I can help anyone else, I must be able to take care of myself first. So I think there was a component where it was about me getting solidified and creating my identity and having to overcome and make myself have a certain level of self-worth at that time based on the level of consciousness I had. But then once I got to a sustainable place, then it was like, wow, wait, how do I help others? And that's when things rapidly changed for me. And once I started serving the community and serving others, then the real well started pouring in, like where it was I couldn't even spend as much money was coming in.
See, that is so cool. Now, this is the part of the show where I interpret a little bit of your name. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So your name says it's very important for you to be included in different things. So like even if all of your friends are going bowling and you don't like to bowl, you still want to be asked so that you know you're included and wasn't going to be left out. And even if it's the 100th time they asked you and they're still going, you still want to be asked and have that opportunity. It says that out of the life lessons that you learn, that some people learn through money and finances, some learn through relationships, and some learn through health. But your major way of learning is actually relationships, and you decided to major in family relationships. Your name is interesting as it says I will work hard and I will work hard to get done what I need to get done, but life is not all about work and I don't want to become a workaholic. So I want to have some balance in my life. It's also very important that family supports you in what you're doing. And just like you were saying that you wanted to be able to help family first, I thought, oh, that is so right there in the name. And it also indicates, Iain, that your memory is absolutely incredible. Your name also indicates that you attract people to you who want the truth, who want to make change and make a difference in the world, and that sometimes they have a challenge between what their brain is saying and what their heart is saying. And if that's the case, you help them lead to, you got to go with the brain, and then the emotions follow or fall into line, or, they come along for the ride because that's what's in your name. Anyway, the other thing that's in your name that I think is really cool is that you have this worldly point of view instead of a narrow point of view. And that is literally shown throughout your name, that you have like a oneness factor versus an individual. So we need to take a break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on the X Zone Broadcast Network and at knowthename.com. After the break, we'll find out what Iain sees during when he's helping somebody to help them transition from where they are to where they could be. Stay tuned.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV. Plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
We live in rapidly shifting times of extreme volatility and uncertainty. Such profound change brings a unique opportunity for the evolution of consciousness. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, host of Mission Evolution Radio Show, a program that explores the latest scientific developments and deepening spiritual truths supporting human evolution. Join me on xzbn.net, where I interview leading experts in science, physics, medicine, spirituality, and more. By applying divergent viewpoints to leading-edge topics, we uncover expansive and evolutionary truth to assist you on your path to enlightenment. More information and past episodes are available at missionevolution.org.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net and X-Zone Broadcast Network and knowthename.com. Our guest tonight is Iain Grae, whose website is evolvedlife.com. Now, life is spelled L-Y-F-E, not the normal way of L-I-F-E. So when you're spelling evolved life, you've got to remember that that's a Y in there and not an I. So, Iain, how did you get started? Now, your businesses have developed and evolved literally over the years. So currently, please let us know what you're doing and how you got involved now and what you're currently doing, because it's so different than what you were doing before.
Yeah, actually, it's been a really interesting ride. So we talked a little about the advertising business I had that was well over a decade ago now, which was a really exciting time. And then once I got out of that, I thought I was retired. I had made enough money. I'd beat every single goal that I had financially, and I kind of lost my way for a little bit. And then I started getting into lifestyle businesses. So I used to race motocross when I was growing up. So I bought a Floresville, that was Floresville, Texas. It's just outside of San Antonio. It was about to go bankrupt, and was able to prevent that from completely falling apart and end up turning into a really world-class premier racing facility. I ended up buying San Antonio Raceway, which is a drag strip in San Antonio that had gone bankrupt, and revitalized out of the community. And that tenor just ended 3 days ago for me. So now I've graduated to really focus my full time on Evolved Life. And with an Evolved Life is really a culmination of the practices that I've been able to use to allow me to experience heaven on earth. So some of them are around finance. So I have one program called Millionaire Prowess, where I break down the 10 principles that I use to make me millions, like make it very applicable to anyone that goes through it. So it's not just information. It's actually somebody would introspect while they're going through it. So they're going to come up with the solutions to their problem and their way of thinking, so they can create the maximum opportunity available to them. And then Evolved Life is a little bit different, where it gets a little bit more on the psychological side and the mindset. A little bit of woo-woo stuff too, like definitely practices of meditation and really calming the mind, so that I can fuse my thinking with the brain to what my heart is actually telling me. So one of the things that you mentioned, or I think I heard you say about my name earlier, was going with the mind over the heart. And that's something that was very, very true for me up until probably about 3.5 years ago, where I started to slow down the thoughts in my mind and start to really see where they were coming from, which beliefs they were coming from. And it's allowed me to create a whole new experience of life. And now I actually, believe it or not, now I started leading with my heart. So those are the two businesses, or really one business, and two projects that I've really been focusing all my energy on, because I've been able to have so many gifts and be able to receive so many gifts as a result of this mindset, and bringing opportunities in that would have otherwise evaded me, and sharing that with the world.
So there's 10 steps, right? You mentioned that there's 10 steps. Could you give us just step number 1 and number 2, so we get an idea of what you're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. So when it comes to Millionaire Prowess, like the first step is getting on purpose. And I mentioned a little bit about that earlier in the show, where it's really, why, if I were to pick out a number and say it was $10 million, why is that number important to me? Like, what would I do with that money? So first is thinking, okay, so I make sure that my bills are taken care of. I might want to get myself a nice car, or a bigger house, or softer sheets, or whatever it is. It might be some material things. It might be some education. It might be some adventure. But once that's done, where else am I going to spend that money? And how is it going to change the lives of my family and my friends? And then the third step with that is actually, how is it going to impact the world? So out into the community and out beyond the community. And the reason for the 3 steps is because it's really easy to, at least for me, to dismiss something that I would receive. So if I want a bigger house, like I can live in a smaller house. I actually, when I bought the motocross track, I lived in my RV. I chose to live in my RV, which is easier than getting a house at first. And that was perfectly fine. I went from living in 2 penthouses in Miami, one in Miami, one in New York, to living in this tiny little RV, and I could enjoy it. But when it becomes about the people around me, then when the going gets tough, then I have a little more incentive. When I'm actually creating something for the entire world, then I have extremely more incentive, and I'm actually creating something much bigger than me that will last beyond me, beyond the tests of time. And having that level of purpose and making sure I'm leading with a real good reason for doing what I'm doing is a great component to make sure I stay on path to creating my vision. Now, the second step is actually creating what I call a statement of desire. And really what it is getting crystal clear on what I am looking to create and what am I willing to do to create that? And what am I willing to give up to create that? So currently my statement of desire that revolves around millionaire prowess is that by January 24th, 2023, my 45th birthday, I will have helped 1,000 people become millionaires. And I'm willing to give up anything that does not serve me, any limiting beliefs, anything that's detracting from my time and my energies towards reaching that goal. And I'm willing to do whatever it takes to use any type of media possible, coming on shows like this, doing videos, speaking at events, whatever it is possible to reach people, to let them know this is available to them. So that's go ahead.
If somebody wanted to be one of those 1,000, what would they do? How would they get a hold of you? How would you select, if they qualified to be one of your 1,000?
Yeah, well, actually, they self-select. It's a paid course that people can go through. Anybody could test drive it if they went to free.millionaireprowess.com. They actually do the first week for free and do the purpose element and really get engaged with that. And then they'll be assigned with an accountability partner. And if they move forward with the course, they would just pay for that. And then they'd either be coached by me or one of my team members throughout the program.
So is there a guarantee, like let's say we want to take that program, is there a guarantee that if they do everything that's in your course, they will end up with $1 million?
There is a guarantee that if they're not happy, if they don't accomplish their goal, then I'll refund them. The course is laid out for the person to actually really create their own destiny. So I'm not teaching people how to sell things on eBay or how to do real estate or anything like that. This is all mindset based, and it's actually revolving around their business. So one of the major steps in this is something called breaking down that overarching goal, that statement of desire, into smaller sub goals. So for me to sit there and track to make sure somebody's actually taking the action items that they come up with based on the way the program's laid out to get them to those numbers, that's not up to me to sit there and manage everything that they do. That's be a little cumbersome.
Okay, I was just curious because I could just hear everybody listening to this going, and what do we need to do to get to do that? Now, there's always stumbling blocks along the way when you're creating anything. What are some of the stumbling blocks you've come across, and how did you overcome them?
I think my biggest stumbling block would be like any time that something seemed like it created some kind of concern or worry for me. So in thinking back to, I have one big one that I would love to share, but I can't right now, because it's still up in the air and there's not the outcome, but I already see it happening, and it's a legal matter. But I think the way to really approach it is, it becomes really simple. Any concern that I have usually has some kind of knot in it. And it would be something to the case like something's not going to work out a certain way. And actually just by removing that word, then it gives me a gift of seeing what my true vision is. So my vision gets clouded by all these concerns. So back to the mindset portion, that's really where it becomes scary. So one example would be, I had, when I first started Innovation Ads, I was looking to raise more money because I couldn't see, there's that word, could not generate enough volume to actually maximize and fulfill the orders that I was getting. So I went to banks and they wouldn't help me. I went to other entrepreneurs. It seemed like they wouldn't help me. I went to family. They didn't have the resources to do it. I went to an entrepreneur organization, and they wouldn't let me into the room because my business didn't have enough history, and I didn't have all the knots in here. I didn't have all the paperwork to prove what it is that I'm actually able to do, and how much revenue I had, how many employees I had. And they actually they asked me to leave. And I walk outside in this rainy, cold day.
Okay,
in New
we
York.
want to hear about the rest of this right after the break. We do need to take another break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You. This show is dedicated to realizing what is important in your life and getting your priorities straight. After the break, we're going to find out some more from Iain Grae and how he has assisted people. Stay tuned.
Broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond. You're watching the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on SimulTV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is SimulTV. SimulTV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world, interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. SimulTV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have SimulTV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God. It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, After the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net and X-Zone Broadcast Network and knowthename.com. Our guest tonight is Iain. He's a businessman who knows how to help other people also get the money so that they can fulfill their own dreams. And his website is evolvedlife.com. Now, I'm going to spell that for you. It's E, V as in victory, O-L, another V for victory, E-D, and then L-Y-F-E. So life is spelled with a Y instead of an I, evolvedlife.com. Now, Iain, before the break, you were in the middle of telling us some of your stumbling blocks and how you got over them. Please continue.
Yeah, absolutely. So anybody just joining, I was at an entrepreneurial organization, and I was really hoping that this was my tribe and they were going to help me as I started a business, and I didn't have the financing to really capitalize on some of the opportunities I had. And they actually asked me to leave because I didn't have all the documents proving I was making as much money as I was and had the number of employees I was. And when I walk outside, it's rainy, it's windy, it's a cold November day in Manhattan, and I put my head down and my hands in my face, and I was like, what is going on here? Why is no one helping me? And I looked up, and when I looked up like a lightning bolt, it hit me. When I figure out how to make money, that I'm going to actually teach other people how to make millions as well. So here was a situation where it was like this big adversity for me, and all of a sudden it created this new opportunity, which eventually turned into Millionaire Prowess. And then moments after that happened, and actually I don't even think I've ever told anybody this, it started hitting me how I could actually leverage my cash flow. And it started to allow me to see the hidden opportunities that were once clouded by having any kind of doubt around anything. So I think really the way I overcome adversity is really just by jumping in with a lot of faith.
Well, that's always a good thing, because a lot of people live on faith from month to month. This is a question that I've really wanted to ask you, and it's because you've started a company, you became a millionaire, you retired before you were 30, but that didn't satisfy you. What was it where you found out money wasn't enough, that you needed to do something else along with it?
Oh, wow. That actually hit me so hard, because I think at a certain point I was living in my condo in South Beach most of the time. I had this beautiful penthouse, and I would literally go out and party every night, thinking that was exactly what I wanted to do when I grew up. And I saw it on all kinds of MTV videos and so forth. And then I would wake up sometime around noon, and I would go to the gym, and then I'd come home and I'd be bored out of my mind. All my friends would be at work, and I realized that I had no reason for being. And my days just kind of all started to drag out, and I started to slow down, and I started to become sad, and then eventually that turned into depression, and then I was like, what am I doing with myself? And I really had no clue who I was anymore. So I actually I decided to start riding motocross again, because that was the one thing that always gave me purpose growing up. But here I'm a little bit older for that sport at that point in time than when I was a kid. And I got back into it, and I really, really enjoyed it, but it still wasn't fulfilling me on the level that really I really intended to be fulfilled on. And I think a lot of my fulfillment in the past came from an illusion of just accomplish one thing after another, and just be as good as my most recent accomplishment. And that was really hiding the fact of all of my insecurities, all of the things that I was truly worried about within myself. So without the opportunity to create tremendous wealth, and then kind of, for lack of a better term, fall from my pedestal, I might have just become like an egotistical jerk. And I probably was that for a lot of people when I was at the top of my pedestal. So it actually really grounded me to realize how important my relationships are and how important it is in my inner world and I'm being inside and how I'm feeling inside, and it started developing this need to start uncovering where my flaws were, all these things that I was able to hide because I had money. So it became a very interesting journey for me.
That sounds interesting, is when you have what you think you want and then you realize that that's not enough. Now, we all know that the mind is the controller of depression. And so you were saying how you were starting to get depressed. So how did you get out of that mentality?
That's an excellent question. That was a long road because I didn't even know I was depressed. I was at the point where I was so depressed that I had no idea that I was depressed. I just like had no energy and just like all these symptoms were popping up, but I didn't know that was really depression because I'm like, well, I have this amazing life. Like I have great friends and I have I have businesses, I have money in the bank, I have beautiful homes, I get to travel, but yet I just like had nothing left inside of me, it felt like. So the way it really the way it really started out was I was watching YouTube videos and I stopped watching the Alex Joneses and the Zeitgeists that were dropping me deeper into depression as the world's coming to an end, as they may have you believe. I was living in Texas, so that definitely helped me get on that conspiracy journey.
Conservative state.
And I really started to investigate what was going on with me, and I stumbled upon a video on quantum physics and somebody speaking about everything on the quantum level at an event called Awesomeness Fest at the time. It's now called A-Fest. And I started listening to these videos of people that were really reverse engineering how the mind works. And I started remembering things that I always knew. And I started remembering who I really was at my core. I believe that every single person on this planet, including myself, has major gifts, has gifts inside of them. And actually the root of all evil is the withholding of those gifts. And I was withholding my gifts, and therefore I was not being fulfilled, and I was not able to receive because I wasn't giving. So it started on a path of like really investigating what my dominant thoughts were over the course of the day, and really seeing what my beliefs were causing those thoughts. And that was actually what was dictating how I experienced reality. So when I was becoming miserable inside, every single person around me appeared to me to be miserable. They appeared to be complaining. They appeared to be whining or helpless. But the truth was, it was actually a reflection of what was going on inside me. And I was completely too blind to realize it until I started watching some of these videos, and then went to my first Awesomeness Fest event and learned all about belief hacking. The whole conference was around how does one change their beliefs around things. And that actually brought me into getting back into some amazing books that I had read and reading it.
Okay, so that leads me to a question.
Yes.
Iain, are you your thoughts, or are you the person observing your thoughts?
Great question. Now I know that, well, I might not even say person now, but I am the observer of my thoughts. I absolutely can watch them just kind of roll through me, and they actually, very rarely does it get me to a place where I identify with those thoughts, unless it brings me complete joy. So anytime that I have a thought that brings me anything less than complete joy, then I know that that thought is not a true thought. There's something false with that thought. So it's one of the practices actually that I do moment by moment, every single thought coming through my head. So I think that distinction came from me with reading The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Oh, that's so interesting, because I found that book very different. I know that a lot of people absolutely love that book, and I was not enthralled because I just was reading other people. So anyway, it's interesting, and it's so wonderful what books can do, because they can hit some people like over the head and say, aha, and others just read it and go, okay, whatever, because other books hit them over the head. I love that power about books. I want to squeeze one more question in here if we could before we need to take another break. And that is, how important is it to you, Iain, that you feel another person's support for you?
That's a really interesting question. At times in my life, it was the most important thing. I was so identified with what other people thought about me, and that was part of what led me into depression, was worrying about what everybody else thought. And now it's really a component of, is this something I know to be true in my heart, and am I getting or am I giving out the best of my gifts, giving the best of myself?
And stuff. Well, we need to take our last break. Stay tuned to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You on xzbn.net and knowthename.com. Now, after the break, we're going to find out what Iain Grae has in his name that has assisted him that you might have in your name as well. Now, Iain spells his name very differently than how it sounds or how you might think it is spelled. So I wanted to spell that out for you. It is Iain for Iain, and Grae is spelled Grae. So the last letter instead of a Y like the color is an E. So it's Iain for the first name and Grae for his last name. All right, stay tuned.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, sci-fi, and horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howe will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
The concept of a new age has been around since the late 19th century, yet much of its original meaning has been lost. What exactly is the new age? Is it a religion, a collection of obscure esoteric practices, a series of doomsday predictions, or an astrological event? The New Age Chronicles is a unique complementary publication bringing reason and grounded information to separate fact from fiction. chock full of valuable information to support you as we make the monumental shift into the new era. You won't want to miss a single innovative issue. The New Age Chronicles newspaper is coming soon to www.newagechronicles.com.
Welcome back. I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, and you're listening to Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which is being heard on xzbn.net and X Zone Broadcast Network and knowthename.com. Now, our guest tonight is Iain Grae, whose website is evolvedlife.com, but life is spelled with a Y, so it's L-Y-F-E. Okay, Iain, I have heard you when you were talking with Kim Sutton, I was kind of eavesdropping on, and you were saying to her that who is such a powerful word, and it's the highest level of questioning is to ask who instead of how, when, what, whatever. So my curiosity is, how do you figure that who is the most important out of all of those?
Wow, this is a great question. This is a juicy one that I usually don't share with the general public because it is actually so powerful, and most people will argue with me tooth and nail, and they're not the who's and they're not whoing. So what happens with the who question is it actually takes the burden off of me to figure everything out. As an entrepreneur, was in my business, I was the salesperson, I was the HR person, I was the media buyer, I was every single hat that I could wear, I did, helping with finance, every single thing. I had my hands in everything. And that was fine in the very beginning. And as the business grew, then in order for me to accomplish everything that needed to be accomplished in a day, it would require me to work more hours. And then it got to a point where I was sleeping maybe 4 hours in a night. And it wasn't until I started discovering this who question that I was actually able to start to get people into the places that were better at providing whatever needed to be provided than I would be. And actually just managing those individuals became my core focus. So if I were to think of an orchestra, then or a symphony, then all the individuals in that symphony are who's, and they're the ones that actually create the music. You have the orchestrator of the actual music, the conductor, that actually manages those individuals and actually can create much better music than he could have by himself. That whole entire piece will be significantly better. So anytime that I run into an area where I am starting to feel lack of resources, I look for the who. Or anytime I'm running into where I'm doing something that I'm not enjoying, then I look for the who that can do it. This allows me to do this really cool thing called being. Rather than being a human doing, I become a human being. And being and embodying someone in particular, like I embody the usher, like I experience heaven on earth, and I help others to experience heaven on earth everywhere I go. That's who I be. And by being that person, then I know what the doing happens automatically. And then all of a sudden, what comes back, what I have, or what I can actually give to the world becomes amplified. So by asking that who question, it allows me to free up time, create more wealth, create better relationships, and really connect with others to put them in their zones of genius.
Well, and it gives others opportunities to really excel because you're saying, yes, I want you to take this over and do your best.
Absolutely. And full faith that they're the best person because I asked the who question, not what needed to be done, not how it needed to be done. There's someone else that can answer those questions better than I can.
Well, I love that question too, because so many HR departments send me their job descriptions and a list of applicants and say, who do we want for this job? And occasionally I have to say, start over again. But, other than that, I rank them. So I love that who question. So
Yeah, well, look at Richard Branson or Elon Musk. Like they're accomplishing some of the greatest things in the world right now. They're not doing anything though. They're just finding the right who's.
yeah, that's incredible. So on your website, you have how you can figure out different stages of awareness or consciousness. So how do you determine that? Like, what are the different stages? I mean, isn't it all just one kind of blend?
The way I experience it for myself is how I came up with this scale. So I'll give you the first seven, and the first is where like I'm completely asleep. I'm a zombie, and the way I experience is that I have no idea what's going on. I just have stories about things, and I have no power. And a lot of times, listening to the speech of like hearing what I would say, and that would be like, what is going on? Like I don't even have any idea. I'll be saying sorry and oops and excuse me as if my right to exist impedes on others. The next stage is where I become a victim and I start to blame others for things happening to me, and I feel very I'm capable of very little responsibility. Actually, I would avoid it at all costs. And my mind is so busy that I can't actually distinguish between myself or my thoughts. My speech is going to be things like, why is this happening to me? What are you doing to me? What are they doing to me? It's your fault. It's their fault. They say that. That's a big popular thing that people in victim, oh, you know what they say, or always and ever, every, like always speaking in these absolutes in that way.
Okay, I call that the monkey mind. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. Then there's the surviving or the worker, the survivor. And that's everybody's hustling or get hustling or fake it. The struggle is real or some of the things that they'll be saying. They'll use motivation to push themselves to take action, but a lot of times that action is not impactful. So they'll get a little bit when I'm in that mode. I'll speak for myself. When I'm in that mode, I'll get ahead and then I'll get knocked back, and then I'll get ahead and get knocked back. So 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, hopefully, in when all things are working good. I'm always short on time and money, and I'm always explaining who I am, and I feel like I'm doing it all alone. The next stage of consciousness that I experienced was actually awakening, and that's when I would be telling myself stories about like what I don't like about people, places, or things, and attempting to change my experience of the world by looking out, change it outside. So I'm going to be really into social justice, yet I'm unaware that I'm actually creating my own reality because my stories in my mind are giving me all kinds of beliefs that I'm helpless to things outside of me, almost victim-y in a way. But now I've got the energy to attempt to make a change. A lot of times I'll be looking to like create more rules so that others will act in the right way, which is my way. It's where I start to actually realize that free will starts to come into play, and that's when I start to actually change and move out of that, and I'll get to that thriving mode. So that in my experience is more my mind is actually slowed. The thoughts that I have are actually in resonance with who I am, and that's what I'm usually a C-level executive or entrepreneur or some kind of managerial role where I'm making the kind of money that I like. When I'm speaking, I'm very clear and directive in what I'm speaking. Start becoming very intentional. I'll start printing money. I'll make money like I'm printing it, like more money than I can actually spend. And when I experience any kind of rules, I'll start to realize that some of them started to become restrictive. So I'm start looking for the loopholes or ways to bend those rules. And then the 6th stage or state would be where I'm leading. I start to become an authority on a topic. My mind actually seems to stop. I just am. There's no need for approval. I've actually begun to use real clear intention before I speak. And I start speaking saying my intention is, or I am thinking, or I think I heard you say X, Y, Z. And that's where a lot of people will get on the stage and start sharing their information. And then the seventh stage is in mastering or replicating. And this is where I start gamifying life. I actually use my mind consciously to manifest the experience that I desire. I hold my heart intentions in meditation, and they become more and more clear. I write them down to gain further clarity. And then with those intentions, they just start to manifest for me. When I speak in first person. I am being, I am thinking, I am listening. You'll hear those words consistently. Very rarely do I hear a lot of people saying, I am thinking, I am listening before they speak. I hear a lot of other words currently where I'm at right now.
That's
and
the
everything
Indian
starts to
way.
feel like a game. What's that?
That's the Indian way. They always pause and really consider what somebody has said before they ever start to think. I want to thank you so much for joining us and taking your time out of your busy schedule to join us tonight here on Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, Iain. It has been just absolutely a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me on. It was really great experience, and I'm really excited for everybody that's been on for the show. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I really appreciate each and every one of you.
Be prepared and surprised and pleased when you experience Iain Grae's work. His website, again, is evolvedlife.com, and he spells life, L-Y-F-E. Now, Iain's name excels at working hard to support his family. His family is really important to him. This is found in the letter combinations I-A. If your name has an I-A combination in it, then you too have a propensity towards this ability of earning money motivated by helping your family. Now, what's really important to know is that both I's and J's are born to make money. All you have to do is focus on it. Do you know where your genius lies? I'm Sharon Lynn Wyeth, host of the radio show Know the Name, Know the Genius in You, which can be heard every weekday at various hours right here on xzbn.net and X Zone Broadcast Network and the schedule page of knowthename.com. This is Sharon Lynn Wyeth signing off.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.